Grab a cup of tea or listen as you go, ladies. This is your hour with Dr. Zoe, your life and relationship coach. With encouragement, on-point insight, inspiring guests, health tips, and advice, Dr. Zoe helps busy women keep their mind in the game by redefining your superwoman. You're listening to The Dr. Zoe Show.
Welcome to the Dr. Zoe Show, Redefining Your Superwoman. I'm your host, Dr. Zoe. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist with a doctorate in clinical psychology. I'm a life and relationship coach and a motivational speaker, and I can work with you virtually to help you get unstuck. My passion is helping women find their superpower, embrace it, and share it with the world. And that's kind of what we're talking about today is finding your purpose. So connect with me by texting the word join to 38470 or go to my website at drzoeshaw.com. Our topic today is finding your purpose when you feel lost. As I just even think about this topic, I relate to any woman out there who feels like, I just don't really know what I'm good at. I don't know really what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm doing the things I know I have to do on a daily basis. I'm checking off my to-do list. I'm, maybe working in this field, but I don't know if I really feel like this is what I was put on the earth to do. It's a great topic and a great interview with Betsy Pake. And really it boils down to, it's not that you have to find it. It's already there. You just have to believe it. You have to honor your strengths that are there, and you have to figure out how to magnify them and show them to the world. But you do it first by honoring what's already there, things about yourself that you might not necessarily believe. And that has been my experience in really finding my purpose. It was all there to begin with, and now you'll hear it in the interview. I talk about it a little bit. It's just that I didn't value it. And so I couldn't find it because it wasn't outside of me to find. It was inside. So I'm going to start with my Superwoman win and my Superwoman fail, which I do every week just to encourage you women that we have those wins and we have those fails every week. And that is normal being human. We are not fabled beings with capes. We are women. Most of us, there are some men listening out there, but we are human first. And so I share mine because that way you can relate to me and recognize that we all have those challenges. So my win, good win. I'm still working on this. If you guys have listened to my past episodes, you know that I was struggling. I do from time to time with getting enough sleep. It's not that I struggle sleeping when I get in bed. I hit the bed and I'm out. I struggle with getting myself to bed because I'm always trying to do a million things. But my Superwoman win is that my sleep tracker gave me a high five. So that means I'm doing something good. I'm getting more sleep as we should. It's so important for our health and our immunity. So my fail, I did a little video about this, but I haven't put it out there yet because I'm just not really sure about it. But I wrote this article called something like baby mama drama or dealing with baby mama drama. And I really hate that term, by the way, baby mama, but it's kind of the term that describes a woman who, has a child and there's a ex and, there's baby mama drama and there's baby daddy. That's the ex, you're not together, but you have a kid. So I'm sure all you guys know that, but I don't like the term, but it's just the easiest term to be able to describe this. So I wrote this article about baby mama drama and I got a letter from a listener or actually a reader. I don't know. She read the article and I don't know if she's a listener or not, but she emailed me and she told me, or maybe she put it on my comments. Anyway, somehow she communicated with me that she felt that when I wrote the article, I was demonizing baby mamas, that I was saying that they were evil. And, this hurt me. It didn't hurt me that she wrote to me and said that. I'm thankful that she, gave me some feedback about what she read, about something that I had written. What hurt me is that I had inadvertently, I certainly didn't intend to, hurt another woman when I am all about lifting women up and encouraging women. So it hurt me to know that something that I put out there actually did the opposite. And she felt like I was tearing her down. And so I just need to apologize to all the baby mamas out there. That was not my intention. The thing is, that article was written to a woman who is marrying or in a serious relationship with a man who has a baby mama. And that article was written directly to that woman and the struggles that she sometimes goes through and coupling up with a guy who has a woman, another woman, an ex who has a baby or a child. And I was writing that specifically to that woman, using her language and talking about how she sometimes feels about the baby mama, not in any way intending to hurt any women out there who have children and exes. And so I want to apologize. I am going to write the opposite side. I'm going to write another baby mama drama article about dealing with your ex's partner or wife, because that is serious. And I just want to honor, I want to lift up, I want to encourage any women out there who are in that place. And for any other woman who might have read my article and maybe did get offended, but didn't bother to write me about it, I want to apologize, but I want to lift you up and just let you know that it's tough being a single mom. And even if you're a baby mama and you're not a single mom, it is tough dealing with blended families. I've done some episodes about that with the Grit and Grace Project. Blended families are so tough. And I encourage you for doing the hard thing, dealing with, all the drama that you have to deal with. And I just want to let you know that in no way did I intend to hurt anybody. So that was my fail. I wrote the article. I think it was a good article because a lot of women got some good stuff from it, but only from one side. It was one-sided. So I'm going to fix that, and I'm going to have a superwoman win because I'm going to write the other side. So on to the main topic, finding your purpose in life when you feel lost, with Betsy Pake. Welcome, Betsy. I am so excited to have you on the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm pumped to be here.
You're welcome. I was doing my research on you, as I do with all of my guests. And it's funny because I was listening, I don't know what I was listening to, YouTube, podcast, something I was listening. And I forgot that I was really researching for my guest to come on the show. I got so into whatever it was you were talking about. I think it was on YouTube. And I'm like, I think I need to hire her.
Oh, so
and then,
good.
And then I realized, oh, wait, I'm talking to her tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm all good. Yeah. I can connect with her. So for our listeners who don't know who you are a certified life coach. You are a former CrossFit owner and competitive weightlifter. You got a bronze medal at the Masters?
Yeah, and the Pan American Masters for the snatch and the clean and jerk.
I am so impressed. I'm a amateur weightlifter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I compete for the Masters as well, but track and field instead.
Oh, cool. Yeah, see, I'm not a runner. I run to my mailbox and then that's it.
I run a little further than that, but I'm not a long distance runner. I'm a sprinter. So I can understand what you're saying. So can you just tell us a little bit about your process of getting to this place of really, you're a transformational life coach. I mean, you've done so much amazing work. Everything that's out there on the internet. You are also an author of the book, Start Small, Live Big. You are also a host of the podcast, The Art of Living Big. So can you share with us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, probably like a lot of people listening, I started out like the regular route, I worked in sales for about 20 years. And after about 20 years, I was traveling all the time. And although I was really successful, I think I still felt like there's something bigger for me, or there's something different for me. And right around that same time, my daughter was getting to the age where she really needed me to be home, and, those preteen kind of years. And so I decided,
years, yes.
Yeah, fun years. The teenage years with girls are really fun. So I decided I was going to leave that job, and I opened my CrossFit gym at that point.
Awesome.
The thing that was really cool about that is I realized that I really loved the coaching, but it wasn't the coaching in the class. It was the talking to people before and talking to people after, and helping them like work through all of the emotional stuff that had to go with all this.
Right. The biggest blocks, right? It's not really the physical actually doing it. The biggest blocks are the emotional ones.
Exactly. Yeah. And I worked with people as a nutrition coach as well, but that was never about the food. And so after about 3 years, I decided to sell my CrossFit gym and just do the nutrition coaching, which really then morphed into what I do now, which is really just a much larger, I really help people master their subconscious so that they can manifest a life that they really want. And so that's the work I really love. And I believe that people are so powerful. They have no idea. And so I try to be a little flashlight to show them what they could really become. And then they can take off and do it on their own. So that's sort of how I got here.
I love it. And as you talk about the subconscious and the influences, and I love that you talk about how powerful our thoughts are how powerful we are, because it's just so true. But you are also a neuro-linguistic programming. Am I saying that correct?
You are.
You're certified in that, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to talk about that. But first, before we get started, can you please share your Superwoman win and your Superwoman fail with my audience?
Okay. My Superwoman fail is that yesterday I made my daughter go to school and she told me she was sick and I was liar, get to school. And then she came home and she was texting me during the day like, I really don't feel good. I was like, suck it up, buttercup. She came off the bus and she is so sick.
Aww.
So that is my fail.
You know what? I mean, kids get us. I mean, it's so hard to call them sometimes, but yeah, right? She totally got you.
Yeah, totally. And then my win is that I really try when I'm working with my clients one-on-one to access my intuition. So instead of listening to the voice in my head that says, well, what about this? What about this? I try to feel it. And I had 2 coaching calls today and I felt totally in line with my intuition and able to give them feedback that was different than I ever could have given if I was in my head. So that is my win.
That is an awesome win. And I think that is really the art of coaching or the art of therapy. And it's something that can't be taught in schools or programs. It's something you really have to either have or really focus on creating as a helper, for anyone out there who is any type of helper or minister in that way. That's awesome, because that is when you get to the deep stuff, when you focus on your intuition instead of the questions that you're supposed to be asking.
That's right.
Love it. Good job.
Thank you.
So our topic today is finding your purpose. The women I work with and probably the women you work with, that is one of the biggest things that they come to me with is, I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I really love and what I want to be, And so I think it's such an important topic. So I want to dive into it. But tell us a little bit about the neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah. So NLP is what a lot of people call it because that's a mouthful. It is really the study of how your mind works. So not what you're thinking, but how you think. And so if you can access, everybody is thinking with pictures, with smells, with feelings, with sounds. And if you can access the way that somebody thinks, then it really helps you to be able to guide them in a new way. And there's lots of processes, I call them processes, and things that I do with my clients just to help them totally get out of their own head and think about something in a whole new way. So NLP is just simply a process of studying how your mind works.
How it works. Awesome. Let's dive into that. What are some of the things that people do wrong when they're trying to find their purpose?
Well, one of the very first things is that they forget that they should be focusing on what feels fun. So what do we do? Like when we want to change something about our life, we focus on the little, like what environmental change can I make? And maybe you want to lose weight, let's just say, or you want to figure out what you want to do for a career, right? Like who are you? It's the I am. Who am I? But one of the things that we forget is that the thing that we are, the thing that is most aligning is the thing that feels fun. But what we do is we engage all of these environmental changes, right? I'm going to put this structure in place. I'm going to do this thing. When really we could figure out who we are if we just follow what feels good. That's what's aligning. That's who we are. So I think we make it a whole lot more complicated because we think like work has to be hard. I got to work really hard, right? I got to work hard to figure this out. I got to work hard for my money.
Yeah.
All of those things.
Yeah, totally. I mean, your body knows, but I know when I talk about this with clients, one of the things they'll say is, I don't even know what I enjoy anymore. And usually it's because, things have happened in their life or their moms, and they've just kind of gotten so focused on something else outside of themselves. That's what I hear a lot is, I don't even know what I enjoy.
Yeah. So what I would say to that is start paying attention because all day long you're getting clues. This feels good. This doesn't feel good. This feels good. This doesn't feel good. And you've probably started just blocking it out because you're in like a rote, like this is
like it doesn't matter. Right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I think because I'm supposed to do this. So start paying attention to how things feel. There's a little app called Chime. It is free and it's this little green app that looks like nothing, but you can set it up so that it'll chime on your phone at any interval you want. When I'm working with people, I will tell them set it up for every 15 minutes. It's a little ding, like it wouldn't even bother anybody else, wouldn't notice it. But if you could then go, how am I thinking? How am I feeling? What's happened the last 15 minutes? What did I like? What didn't I? I mean, that whole exercise could take 30 seconds. But it'll start to bring it to your awareness. So it's not that you don't have likes or dislikes. It's just that you've become numb to it.
That is so good. I love that one because it's so true. You just stopped paying attention. And so that is just a process of bringing yourself, your feelings and your thoughts back to attention. I love that. That's wonderful. So your book, Start Small, Live Big. I mean, that's one perfect tip for starting small when we're looking at finding our purpose. What are some other small steps that women can take? And tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah, well, the book is really just about, many times we'll see somebody that has what I call a big life, right? So they're doing something amazing or, the woman that's so successful and you're like, oh, she always has accessories on. I remember I would see women and I'd be like, how are they trying to accessorize?
I am so there with you on that. It's like, wow, they really have it together because they're accessory. I feel the same way.
Right? If everything's matching, like, how did you even do that? When I would see that, I would think like, oh, they just were like born like that. But the reality is that people that are successful or people that have it together or whatever, it's not. It's little small steps that you're doing every day. Now, living big for me, some nights is just having everybody eat together at the table, and not sitting on the couch or whatever. So living big doesn't have to be some big, huge thing. But the reality is that when we want to make a change, it can seem overwhelming because we've set it up too big. And if you can set it up to be small, little incremental changes, then everything is open to you. Then all of a sudden you're doing an action towards your goal, which you weren't doing before. You're getting contrast. You're going, ooh, that feels good. That doesn't feel good. That feels good. So now instead of just going, I can't be that perfect woman who's accessorized and has dinner ready, like now instead I'm chunking that down and going, today I'm just going to wear earrings. And tomorrow I'm going to wear earrings and I'm going to plan dinner. So it's really about like chunking and just adding things together. Now, inside the book, I have a system that I created called CHASE. And it stands for Create, Help, Attain, Start, and Evaluate. And really what it is a system. In fact, you can go to my website and get a little worksheet for free under the tools. It's called the CHASE worksheet.
And your website?
It's just my name. It's betsypake.com.
Awesome. Pake. We'll put that in the show notes. Go ahead.
Thank you. Problem solving is a creative process. And so these CHASE worksheets help you be creative. Think outside the box. There's a timed exercise in there so that it forces your subconscious to release ideas that you may have. You know the answer to things. You already know what it is you'd need to do to become the thing you want to be, what steps you'd need to take. It's just not in your awareness yet, but you can call that forth. And there's some different ways you can do that. One of them is using that worksheet that'll help bring it forward.
I love that. I will check out that worksheet, and I hope my listeners do as well. As you were talking about that today, I was just thinking about a session I just had this morning with a client. She's trying to make a really big decision about leaving a partner or not. And she was talking about her feelings, like, well, one feeling I have is this, and one feeling I have is this. But actually, what we usually have is we have logic on one side and we have emotion on the other side. They're not really competing feelings. So it's, I know I shouldn't be in this relationship. That's logic. It's not a feeling, right? But I'm scared to leave it, or I'll miss him, or I have these kinds of emotions attached to it. That's the feeling. And so what you were just talking about, paying attention, and I would say take the feeling out of the logic, because we know if we can think, but often our emotions cloud everything. So we might be like, oh, I really want to do this. But, then these emotions like, oh, but I'm scared, or, oh, I can't really do it. Oh, but why do I think I can do it? Kind of gets in the way.
Yeah. I think it's the fear. It's always fear, right? Anything that's in the future where you're like, but what if?
It's always fear. Mm-hmm.
That's always fear. So if you can use your logic, but then see what actually feels better right now. Like if I'm in this moment, and there is a process called hakalau, which is from the Huna religion, the Hawaiian religion, and it's where you look up like 20 degrees up. So you're looking up and you're focusing. What we do in our lives is we have this like fluvial vision, this vision where we're focused on pages, writing on a page or on the computer. But if we can look up 20% up and focus there at a point on the wall, and then start to notice our peripheral, and then you start to notice like everything open up, and you'll start to feel like a sense of peace. It actually changes your brainwave state, brings you a little more into alpha, which is more of like a meditative state. So you can do this quick, and you can teach your kids to do this before a test. So if you can do this hakalau and get in this peaceful state, and then go, this is the logical decision I want to make right in this moment. Does this feel good? Or does this feel bad? So I'm taking the fear of the future out of it for me right now.
Bringing it to present. Okay.
And then I can make a decision from a much stronger standpoint because I have felt it. It's not just, somebody telling me, not your girlfriend going, well, you should, I can know for myself. I can touch base with my inner knower.
Beautiful. That makes a lot of sense. Speaking of, you said the wrong thing to do is call a girlfriend.
Yeah, I do. I think that. My daughter sometimes will text me, what should I do? I'll write back, I'll text and say, ask your intuition. I want her to get used to getting quiet. Hakalau, get into yourself. What is right for you? So I don't want her asking her girlfriends, because there's going to be decisions where her girlfriends would make a different decision than she would, right?
Absolutely.
And I think we do that. So, I'm guilty of that at times where I'll have an issue and I'm like, I don't know. Like, let me call my friend Laura and just ask her, what do you think? But the reality is she's going to be giving me the answer through her lenses of all of the different experiences she's had in her life, all of the belief systems she had that might be different. And she probably doesn't have a vision like I do about what I want for my future. So how could she possibly tell me what she thinks I should do? That would be great for her, but maybe not for me.
You're right.
One thing that I do, and I do this with my clients a lot, if there's something with like, I really don't know, Betsy, I have thought and I really don't know, I will say, write it down on a piece of paper before you go to bed. So I actually have a notebook right next to my bed, and I'll write down what I want to know in the morning. So my subconscious never goes to sleep. And so I can write it down and let my subconscious know, and I direct it. I need you to work on this tonight. And in the morning, I want to know what I should do. And in the morning, you'll have had a dream, or you'll just wake up with a knowing, and then you have your answer.
That is so powerful. And I have done this, not exactly in this way, but I have done this so many times in my life. And I am amazed. It's a practice I have now because I've amazed myself.
Yeah.
When I write something down, or there's something that I put into thought purposefully to think about, but not to sit down and think. And I know my mind's working on it. And this comes down to trust, Betsy. You have to be able to trust yourself and know that you do have that answer. And when you can trust yourself, then you can start the question and trust that your mind is working on it. And you don't need to even focus. Your mind is already doing it way back in the back.
And then what's happening? Then I'm not fearing for my
Right.
future because I know and that it's working out.
And that is a hard one because I
Mhm.
said you do have to get to that place of trusting yourself. It's a difficult one, but it's a truth.
Yeah. But how powerful.
Right. How
Yeah.
very powerful. Wow. I love that. So, have you always kind of felt that you knew your purpose, or what was your process in getting there? I mean, you told us the story about coaching, really being a coach before you became a coach. But what was that process for you?
Well, I fought with it a long time mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something I kept saying, like, what do I do? Like, what is it I do? Like, and people would say, well, like my husband would be like, well, you're a coach. And I'd be like, yes, but what do I do? Like, it was this weird thing where I felt like I was this flashlight, but to me, that didn't seem like a thing. So I fought with my purpose because I was like, that feels so right. This past week, I went to a hypnotherapy class that I did last week. I wanted to get board certified to be a hypnotherapist. And I decided I was going to talk to everybody and have a meaningful conversation during all of the breaks throughout the week with somebody in the class. So I would kind of get to know everybody. And it was interesting because in the past, when I was trying to figure out my purpose, I would be like, oh, what do I do? I think I'm a light, but it didn't seem like that was a thing. And I realized this past weekend when I was talking to everybody and I was connecting with everybody, I wasn't talking about me. I was asking them about them. And I was pointing out all the good things about them. And that felt so aligning to me. That felt so fun. And so then I was like, it's okay. It's okay to be a light bulb. Like, I don't have to be Steve Jobs. I could point at the beauty and the greatness in Steve Jobs and say, hey, did you know that was there? Like, that has value. So I think sometimes we know what our purpose is. Everybody listening, you know it already. You're just not consciously aware of it. And maybe you're a little afraid of it. And I was afraid of it because I thought that ain't a thing. Like, what do I do? But really, that is what I do. And that's great. There's a purpose for that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people think that's not a thing. And I have a very similar story. And I've shared this with my listeners before, but in this vein, I'll just share it again because I came from academia. I was at UCLA and then at Pepperdine. And, everything is about writing and creating new theories, and everything is very much academic. And despite the fact that obviously I know I'm pretty smart, I always felt like I should be doing that kind of thing. Like I should be writing in psychological journals and presenting at, the APA. I had that kind of feeling of, well, what I do just isn't very special, isn't good enough, really. It comes down to that because it wasn't academic. And it wasn't until I was able to embrace that my talent, and I've been told this, by many people, my talent is, like you said, a light, is as an encourager, as a listener, even as an educator, and as that light that can help people in their transformation. And that's not a little thing. And not everybody can do that. And people, would say, oh my gosh, how did you get that from what I just said? And, I've never had anybody listen to me and hear what I said like you do. And to me, I just toss that off as like, well, anybody can do that. Why did I go to school for 1.5 years, for that? But it wasn't until I embraced it that I was able to really harness it and grow it and really share it with the world in the way that I'm supposed to. But it takes valuing it first.
And I think that we are so used to our own gifts, we don't think it's anything special, right? So
Absolutely.
Whatever it is that comes natural to you is probably part of your purpose. And it's a thing.
It is a thing. It is a thing. And you just have to figure out how to value it and grow it. Once you value it, you will. And then share it with the world and share it with, your world in any way that works for you.
Yeah.
I love that. So tell us a little bit about your podcast, The Art of Living Big.
Yeah. So I've had the podcast about 2 years, and really every week I share something just to make you think a little bit differently about what could be possible for your life. So a little bit of science, a little bit of spirit, and it's just a lot of fun. Lots of times I'll share NLP processes or run you through a new way to set goals or whatever it is, just something to help you think a little bit differently.
I loved your goal setting. I listened to it somewhere on YouTube, and it goes back along with the start small right? Live big. And you were
Yes.
talking about really, I mean, a lot of it goes back to finding your purpose and figuring out what you want to do and then how to execute that. And I loved how you had everyone outline those three, I don't even remember what they are now, but the three main areas kind of in your life, and then picking one and really focusing on starting small, because a lot of people, like even when you're trying to find your passion or when you're trying to start something big, a big transformation, you try to do everything and you're changing everything all at once, and you do burn out. It's too much of an overhaul. Like if you cut all the branches off of a tree, what happens, right?
Right.
You have to start small, and then you can see the change over time if you're willing to really harness the little part first.
Yeah. And it builds your confidence as you go along, right?
Yes.
So yeah, makes a huge difference, I think. That go big or go home just is for the dogs, I think.
Right. I mean, it is, unless you're doing something like, lifting at the Pan American Masters.
Yeah, that's right.
So tell us a little tidbit that you'd like to share with my listeners about finding your purpose.
I would just say trust yourself, listen to yourself, and believe that all things are possible. You have a desire because it's for you.
Oh, I love that. That's going to become my Instagram meme quote for this show. You have a desire because it's for you. Yeah.
That's right.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thank you to Betsy Pake for that interview. And you women out there listening, I hope that you can take that advice and those tips and really just run with it. Figure out how to apply them to your life. Start looking inside and moving towards walking out your purpose. Next up, Real Talk. This is Real Talk, where I answer questions from my listeners and I share my own musings and encouragement. So please reach out if you have some questions you would like me to address on the show. All questions are anonymous. I take your confidentiality seriously as if you were my own client. You can email questions to zoe@drzoeshaw.com or connect with me on any of my social medias. So this question, as most of them will be, was curated from my column at thegritandgraceproject.org. You can always submit your questions directly to me or by emailing Grit and Grace. So this question is stepkids jealousy, which goes a little bit along with my Superwoman fail, the whole baby mama drama thing. And the reality is there's drama sometimes in blended families. So here's the question. Dr. Zoe, I find, like most siblings, a family that has children from two households, there is a love-hate between them. However, I've noticed jealousy in the child that is not with us full time. I'm sympathetic to the situation and I love him, but I don't want to accept bad behavior just because the circumstance is challenging, nor do I want that behavior to impact my biological child. Do you have any thoughts or ideas to approach these conversations or actions I can take to curb bad behavior while offering understanding? I want to act before it becomes a more significant issue. I'm just a stepmom wanting to do the best for her crew. Awesome. Of course you want to do the best for your crew, and I just honor you in that. So yes, I do have some thoughts or ideas. So here we go. First, no parent ever, no matter what kind of parent you are, should accept bad behavior. But it's important to understand that your stepson's bad behavior could be the only way that he feels that he can communicate his feelings right now. And of course, a love-hate relationship among siblings is pretty normal. I've got a number of siblings relationships at home. And so, of course, that does happen. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to repeat this mantra before you have a difficult interaction with your stepson. And really, any women out there, any mamas can do this with their children, stepkids or not. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Say it again. Kids don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And this means that you have to focus on building a relationship with him first, for now, knowing that you're laying a foundation where discipline can be well received. The good news is that if he's feeling jealous, it's probably because he wants to belong. he's not checked out, which is a great thing. He's probably a little bit confused about where his place is in this family, and he wants reassurance that he is an important part of your family, especially because he knows he's not there all the time, and he knows he's not your biological child. And so, sometimes you can feel like the odd person out. So what you can't do is reward his jealous or negative behavior. You can't reward it with any attention, and make sure that you give him praise and attention when he is doing well. Positive reinforcement really does work best, but it takes practice, a lot of practice. So you and your husband should sit down with him and make sure that he's clear on what all the rules are in the house, and that you and your husband are a united front, and that you guys are going to deal with everything as a united front, especially when it comes to the consequences. So until you've established a healthy, positive relationship with him, all the major consequencing or really punishing should be left to his father. Until then, you just have to be clear about which behaviors will generate a reaction from you and which ones you have to ignore. It's also great to establish a regular date night with each of your children, and this will go a long way to really establishing that foundation of care that I'm talking about. So if you can set up that regular time when you're just with them, you're not focusing on any issues in the family, but just the relationship. And a rule of thumb, when it comes to consequencing or punishing, is that bad attitudes in and of themselves should not be consequenced. Sometimes this is hard for parents to get, but the bad attitudes should not be consequenced. They should just be ignored. Bad behavior is what should be consequenced. And remember, all good behavior must be praised. When it comes to arguments too between your children, don't rush into intervening or protect. Instead, teach and model problem-solving skills to both of them. And sometimes you're going to have to tell them, hey, look, guys, you just need to work it out. This requires resisting your mama urge, I know, to go in and fix it all. Unless one of them's getting ready to be hurt, sometimes you really do need to let them work it out. And a difficult reality is that all siblings' behavior does impact each other. The good news, though, is that your younger son witnessing the negative behavior of his older stepbrother probably won't have the horrible effect that maybe you're worried about. It could actually have an effect of him seeing his brother's outcome that's not necessarily positive and deciding, in fact, that his brother's behaving badly and I'm going to make sure I don't do those things. So sometimes those negative consequences can be a deterrent for the younger kids too. That's what wisdom is really, is learning from other people's mistakes instead of your own. So bottom line, don't ever ignore bad behavior. This teaches him a lesson that you don't want to teach either of your children. So focus on relationship first. Be willing to acknowledge with him the difficult parts of being a stepchild and that you do want to understand his position. Remember, that's laying the foundation of care. So hang in there. You've got it. It takes a little grit and grace. That's my little saying from the Grit and Grace Project, but you've got it. If you're still struggling, reach out. So thanks for tuning in to the Dr. Zoe Show. New shows go up on Tuesdays. Subscribe so you don't miss a show. And if you're interested in coaching or therapy, or you just want to get a little more help, go to my website at drzoeshaw.com or any of my social medias at the handle Dr. Zoe Shaw. And remember, you can join my free newsletter by texting the word join to 38470. I look forward to speaking with you amazing women on social media throughout the week. Have a great week.
You've been listening to The Dr. Zoe Show, redefining your superwoman, with your host, Dr. Zoe Shaw. Don't forget to sign up for her monthly newsletters to get encouragement, tips, and skills for keeping your mind in the superwoman game. Connect with her now at www.drzoeshaw.com. Tell your friends and subscribe to her podcast on iTunes. Join us next time for another edition of The Dr. Zoe Show.